Hey there, everybody. This is episode 10 of Backup Stories. My name is Justin Townsend. As always, I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Rob Newmeyer.
Howdy.
Rob, another week coming and gone as usual. Before we get into some comic book talk, I thought we'd go over some news articles that caught our eye. I'm actually going to hand it off to you. We got the Secret Wars stuff going on right now, which we're going to get into, but this week there's some news articles and rumblings about what's coming after Secret Wars.
Yeah. As always, we'll start with spoilers. So throughout the episode, we're not going to hold back. Like if it's a book that we will hold back on, we'll mention it before the book. But in terms of everything else, we're not going to bite our tongues.
All right, warning out of the way.
Yes. Okay, so Marvel press announcement, what's coming after Secret Wars, and a new branding again. And instead of all new Marvel, it's the all new, all different Marvel.
Now, we've already seen this with that Free Comic Book Day issue of Avengers. It was all new, all different Avengers, but it looks like they're going to be using this for the entire brand.
Correct, yeah. As it states, it's an all new, all different Avengers for an all new, all different Marvel universe. And that's from Tom Brevoort. So throw out your perceptions of Earth's mightiest heroes as we change the game, rewrite the rules, and destroy childhoods with an Avengers team that more closely reflects the world outside your window. So that's obviously talking about the all new, all different Avengers and the Marvel universe as a whole. And then on Bleeding Cool, like obviously they'll throw up spoilers and rumors and stuff like that.
And take everything with a grain of salt from Bleeding Cool, but
Correct.
Sometimes they have the right information.
Yeah. So they threw up a list of possible ongoings that will continue on after Secret Wars is over. So I just wanted to read some of them off and get some reactions from Justin because I know he hasn't read this yet. So we have all new, all different Avengers.
I didn't know that was coming.
Gamora, Doctor Strange. Next three are kind of weird, but the Extraordinary X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and All New X-Men. Now, 3 X-Men books. What, with all this stuff going around, like, oh, Marvel doesn't want to promote mutants or the Fantastic Four, and everything kind of like seeming to fall that way.
Yeah.
Why would you have 3 X titles?
Well, they've always denied that the X-Men were going anywhere, and it was just heavily rumored that they were taking them out or possibly putting them into their own like pocket universe. We don't know if that's the case, but hey, I like the X-Men. So, I mean, and there's always like 10 X-Men books on the shelves. Yeah. So what was it? It was all new,
Uncanny,
and then extraordinary. I wonder if that's the new Astonishing.
That very well could be. Yeah.
I wonder who's writing these books.
That's going to be the interesting part.
Yeah, because Bendis is coming off, and we'll actually. I think we jump into that right now. I mean, today we're going to be talking about Uncanny X-Men today, but Uncanny X-Men 600 was pushed like 4 months, 5, something like that. Like from now until it was supposed to be this month, and now it's coming out September.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a delay.
I mean, maybe it has like the most direct lead into what's going to happen with all the mutants.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
it's
why.
Best if it comes out
Correct.
After. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think.
All right.
And it's going to be interesting because we still don't know what Bendis is going to be doing technically.
True.
But I'll continue with the list and then we'll talk about that.
All right.
You have a Defenders book.
Ooh, maybe Matt Fraction is coming back. No, that's not happening.
I would absolutely love that. That would be crazy. Old Man Logan.
That's exciting.
Now that Bendis is writing that during Secret Wars, so it'll be interesting. Maybe that is the book that he'll stay on.
I would be okay with that.
Because why would he write the Secret Wars version and then just hand it off? That doesn't seem like something he would want to invest.
Yeah.
And then,
Bendis, when he writes stuff, usually writes stuff for a while.
Correct. Yeah. Miss America, which is kind of obvious with her big involvement in A-Force.
Yeah.
Uncanny Inhumans.
Okay.
Scarlet Witch.
Her own book. All right.
Howling Commandos. Silk.
Oh,
So
good.
this is
We're in
now
the rumored.
ongoings, correct?
Yeah, now we're still in the rumored part, but it's still fun to speculate.
All new Captain America, Amazing Spider-Man, A-Force, Miss Marvel, Weird World.
They're going to continue Weird World?
Yeah. Well, yes. Rumor, yes. A new team of Dead Universe characters.
What?
A new team book of Dead Universe characters.
Oh, okay. Dead Universe characters. I like I just heard dead characters and I was like, okay, Captain Marvel. I was just trying to think of all dead heroes.
What was the name of that? Chaos War? Was that the small Marvel event that kind of brought back?
Yeah,
almost like Blackest. It actually happened right around Blackest Night.
Well, the rumor with Secret Wars is that some of the characters would remain unchanged.
Correct.
And we don't know if it's the characters that have jumped on the life raft. That makes the most sense, right? Because they escaped the incursion, or we at least assume they did, coming off the end of Secret Wars 2. Even now we found out there was 2 life crafts. So, all right, that's interesting.
Where am I? Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
Black Panther.
Not surprising.
Drax. Guardians of the Galaxy. All new Hawkeye. And Moon Knight.
Oh, they're going to keep going with Moon Knight.
Now, I don't see Spider-Woman.
Nope. Trying to think of other books I don't see on there.
Squirrel Girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're still in the heavy rumored part, but I'm sure that can't be the whole line. That's not enough books to carry a line. So there's probably a whole mess that they haven't announced yet.
2, 4, 6, 20. Yeah, there's probably another 15 to 20 books that I would imagine.
We do know that, and I didn't even talk to you about this, that they did announce that there is going to be 2 Spider-Men in the universe, Miles and Spider-Man, but they have yet to say Peter. But yeah, definitely 2 Spider-Men. Miles isn't going to be the only Spider-Man in the universe, and they're showing an Amazing Spider-Man book there, so I don't think they would cast that as Miles, that we know of anyway.
Now, if they were to have Miles' book, basically, do you think Bendis would stay on that?
Yes, I think he has this insanely weird connection to that book, and he does not want to let it go. I could picture him writing that book until it just stops, but I don't know when it will ever stop at this point.
It's awesome now though, because if the other Spider-Man is Peter, let's say, now he'll have every reason in the book to be able to write Peter and Miles together. Because Spider-Man, that miniseries was
awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah, I wish they would continue it, but now if he's coming in, Miles is coming into the 616, he'll be able to continue it the whole time. It's funny that we're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man. It's just I reread the entire collection of it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, in the last week or week and a half, I was like, let me just pick up Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1 because I enjoy rereading those first couple of trades, and then all of a sudden, next time I looked up, it was Volume 5 of when Miles is is Spider-Man, and I love that. That's a lot of reading.
Over 150 issues.
Oh God, yeah. It's let's see, 22 volumes. All right, so the first run was 22 volumes. Then 4 ends with the death of Peter, and then right now I have the first 5 of Miles. So about 30 something, low 30s in volumes I read in 1 week.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I really love that series. If you haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man, you can't go wrong reading it.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's crazy to do it in a couple of sittings.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Awesome.
A quick other thing that we had noticed, and again, comes from Bleeding Cool, so I mean, take it with a grain of salt. There's a big rumor going on that DC is going to be doing something that I think is really dumb, and that they're going to be introducing half-page ads in their books.
No, I mean this is something that had been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, and they show art the way it used to look in comics, where it'd be the top half of the page was the comic and the bottom half was an advertisement.
Correct. Yeah, and it's just weird to me in the fact that creators, especially, I think that they're just so set on the pages that they have to do already. So now to take into account that you have a half page.
Yeah.
I mean, when page count jumped down, what was that? Like maybe 3 years ago is when they dropped a couple of pages. That confused people, creators especially. They had to shake up the way that they wrote. So now it's just going to be like another obstacle for them, and all for like just because some marketing research company says like
marketing.
It'll catch your eye.
Oh, it's gonna make me angry. The reason that we're bringing this up, and it's not like an official announcement yet, is I think that if they are thinking about doing this, if word of mouth gets around about it and enough people get pissed off about it, that I think DC will change the course and we won't see it. It's in the rumor phase right now, but we've seen these companies react to public opinion before, and I think that's a terrible idea. So if
it's so much money for them, though. I mean, just imagine how much more they could charge for that half-page ad.
Oh no. Oh.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know from the corporation standpoint, sure, but that is not something I want to see. Mm-hmm. There's so many ads, and I mean, we talked about it last week, like with the Secret Wars #2, when Thanos has got that character by the throat, and he's like, "What is this place?" And you turn the page, and it's Battleworld on the right page, and on the left page, it's like a Marvel Unlimited ad, and like your digital code and stuff. Like, how much more enticing or special would it have been if you turned the page and it was a double page spread of the word Battleworld? Like, throwing those advertisements there really can sometimes take you out of the experience. And if it's a half page ad, then I want nothing to do with that.
Well, it might happen. So we're going to have to.
Hopefully enough people get mad and it won't. But, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Sounds good.
And now we'll jump into books. Mm-hmm. The first book I want to talk about is the first time we're doing this. I'm going to hold it up. It is A-Force #1. Had to get this guy digitally this week.
My bad.
Dude, no fault of Rob's at all.
No, it's 100% my fault.
It's fine. I mean, read it the same way. So A-Force has been, this big book that they've announced a while ago. They were going to announce it on The View. I remember you and me talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's an A-Forceful announcement." And you're like, "It's got to be a Star Wars announcement." And we were wondering, like, why on The View, though? They ended up not announcing it on The View due to some, I guess, internal politics or whatever.
I sat through that whole damn episode. Like, I was folding laundry, sitting through that episode.
Don't lie. You watch The View every day while folding laundry.
Well, no, I was just saying. I was sitting. Yeah. No, I
don't. So A-Force #1, co-written Marguerite Bennett and G. Willow Wilson, a Secret Wars book. So in the Battleworld, we've gone into this last week. It's multiple places. Actually, they do a real nice job explaining it on the title page here. It says the Secret Wars, the multiverse was destroyed. The heroes of Earth 616 and Earth 1610 were powerless to save it. Now, all that remains is Battleworld, a massive patchwork planet comprised of the fragments of worlds that no longer exist, maintained by the iron will of its god and master, Victor Von Doom. Each region is a domain unto itself. This is the story of A-Force. So A-Force being a whole mess of female heroes, most notably, what do we have on the cover here? She-Hulk, Medusa, Dazzler, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel. I mean, those are and Miss America, Loki. Mm-hmm. Those are like the main players for this first issue, and they guard the island of Arcadia. And this is like an introductory story. I mean, we've already come into this world that's been existing. We meet our heroes. They're the champions of this city, and they protect it. It was great. Like, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Nice. Definitely beautiful.
Great line work. The colors probably one of the best things about the book. It just felt so natural. And then obviously the co-writing job, it felt great. Like the character interactions and even what they're doing. So Miss America does something that pisses Doom off, basically.
Yeah.
And Loki went off to try and talk him out of it. and it's not going to fly. So it's the team reacting to her possibly getting executed or taken away or
imprisonment,
sent off,
sent to the Shields, which we
Uh-huh.
saw in Secret Wars issue 2, which is what protects them from the Deadlands. There's like immediately there's just there's a feeling with the writing on the first page, and like I said, introductions to the to this place, the vast oceans of our planet, isolated from the forbidden domains of Battleworld. There is an island. Our island is red roofs and friendly dogs, green hills and water blue as heartache. It is bells at dawn and bells at dusk, ringing towers of stone, silver, clay, and chrome. It is its people, the good, the bad, and all the rest of us, doctors and lawyers, teachers and thieves, scientists and artists, musicians, mystics, brothers and sisters in arms, heroes and villains, family and friends. In the shadow of the shield, with the sun on the sea, there is an island. Welcome to Arcadia. It's pretty tight. Mm-hmm. And just that part that it's pretty tight, like just like made me smile. And like I thought that was like a really interesting way to, you know, introduce this city. And I mean, Rob, you mentioned the art and how beautiful it is. Like, you know, everything they just mentioned. And it's going to be hard to see this because I'm holding up like a digital copy of the book as I'm looking at it. It's like impossible to see.
A little closer.
Nope. No.
Okay.
That's not.
I mean,
work.
You could see the previews out there.
Yeah.
That first spread is
gorgeous. I mean, and everything they just mentioned, you see that, you know, it's an island, the sea, the red roofs,
the big megalodon from Jurassic World.
Yeah, just shows up out of nowhere. And, you know, I found myself really interested in what's happening here. And like, this is going to be a running theme with the books that we're talking about today from Secret Wars, is you fall into a place that's already been existing. And I was immediately pulled into a few of these books, and none more so than A-Force. Like, I want to see where this is going. Like, they could just stay in Arcadia and I'd be fine learning more about this world. But we know that our A-Force is continuing after Secret Wars. They've already said that. Like, that's one of the confirmed ones that's going to keep going. But hey, if the writing sticks like this and it looks like this, they could put these characters anywhere. So A-Force I think was my favorite book of the week.
Okay, good. Yeah, I loved it. So,
Secret Wars Battleworld 1 of 4 is like kind of when they do events, they'll do books that kind of encompass a couple of different stories. Like it's not one thing. Yeah, like style. Definitely. I liked the first one a lot. The second one I thought was okay. The first one
hit nostalgia-wise for me, just because like back in the 90s with the Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm went Nova on his college campus, and they put together a team of another Fantastic Four, and it was Ghost Rider, Hulk, Spider-Man and Wolverine. And, you know, these are the 4 characters here starring in this story, along with the Punisher, Doctor Strange, and the Punisher, basically.
And that's what made this story really interesting and just flat out awesome. Was that Doctor Strange is in the body of the Punisher, and they're sharing space up in his head, and so they're having conversations with each other, and these Fantastic Four, or they come to take Strange. And you know, if you've been reading anything with Doctor Strange in it lately, they do really, really awesome things when he's using a spell. Like, they'll kind of put the spell on the top left of the page.
That's all Bendis.
Yeah.
Well, the modernizing of it.
Yeah. And the same type of thing happens here, except every time he uses a spell, he's calling in some sort of other weapon. Rocket of Ragdor, and you see like just this giant pink rocket launcher show up. Mm-hmm. And I loved this. This was really awesome. It ends in a way that I wasn't exactly expecting. It kind of like leads into another book. We know that they're doing Inferno, and that's kind of what it leads into. And then the second half of the book was a whole bunch of MODOKs.
Tons of MODOKs. And it's like, especially in Secret Avengers, MODOK has been like a comic relief kind of character, I guess you could say. And this is definitely expanding upon that, you know, just jokes upon jokes with like 20, 25 different MODOKs.
I can't get into MODOK at all in any book he's in. Like, I haven't read Secret Adventures, but like I just can't find myself invested or interested in the character at all. And I know like in here it's like it's supposed to be funny and used as comic relief. But for some reason it's just like, I don't know, he's just a giant head. And so like for some reason I can't grasp onto it. I have to try Secret Avengers because I've heard you talk about the book a bunch. And
yeah, Secret Avengers are great, and MODOK is excellent in that book.
Moving on, we're going to go talk about Ultimate Ends, number 1. This book is weird. It was not what I was expecting. Like I expected Ultimate Ends to be about the Ultimate Universe and kind of like a Last Days thing. And now that I'm thinking about it, are they doing a Last Days of the Ultimate Universe?
No, that's all done.
Wait, the Last Days of the 616 Universe books haven't come out yet, though. They started to.
What else would there be, though? There's no other Ultimate book announced. This is it. You know, Ultimate Spider-Man's done.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, the reason I want it so bad is the only character I really care about is Spider-Man. And so I at least thought that I heard that they were going to be talking about Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker version. Like in the Ultimate Spider-Man books, the last we see of Peter, he's back from the dead with like almost zero explanation behind it. He wakes up in a lab, doesn't understand what's going on. His coffin is empty. Him and MJ ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to see more of. And I had thought like, and I can't remember where I heard it, but that they were going to be diving into that a little bit more, or like wrap it up a little bit more cleanly. And I thought like, oh, sweet, Ultimate End. This is where it's beginning. And it is not where it's beginning at all.
No, this is the ultimate world of Battleworld, basically.
Yeah. Same type of thing. On the page, the Ultimate Universe was destroyed, blah, blah, blah. Each domain holding its own mysteries and enchantments, but none so New York as Manhattan. And so it's supposed to be, and when you're looking at it, they do this thing where to make things simple, they use the fonts are a little bit different, all capitalization for what's supposed to be the 616 universe, and then proper pronunciation of the Ultimate Universe. Sorry, I'm skipping there.
That's fine.
And it, you think this is supposed to be 616 Peter, but it's not. Like they make mention of the name that he's Peter Parker, but he's talking to Jessica Drew, and let's see. You're now going to say that if I was really a genetic clone of you, then I would know who you are, your real name, the name you used before you were bit by the spider. So that shows me that this isn't 616. Like that's what confused me. I thought like this is going to be 616 and Ultimate Universe meeting, and they're going to be like working it out. Like we're going to see something here, and it's not though, because then we see a version of the Hulk that I don't recognize at all. Some of the X-Men are here. It's weird though, but what I think is cool about the book is that they're kind of taking stuff that we've seen in the Ultimate Universe before. In Spider-Man, Mysterio was able to jump through worlds using these portals that could jump from universes, and Tony was like very interested in that tech. And in a couple of other Ultimate books, but we saw it with I think it was All New X-Men. They kind of crossed over into the Ultimate Universe at one point. They got back using that type of tech.
Yeah, that was exactly what they did.
So this is a story of if Tony kept pushing those walls. It's like the incursion happened, but their incursion happened differently than what actually happened. It was because Ultimate Tony was, playing around with this tech too much that something happened, and now the worlds have bled together. So it's not like they were dealing with worlds crashing into each other. And so whatever so whatever Earth they've crashed into, in a way, is different than the main Marvel universe. But I like this because you get two different Tonys talking to each other, which is what I wanted to see a little bit of in Secret Wars. It's funny just to have them have that interplay between themselves.
And it's weird because totally different than any other versions of Tony. Like this Ultimate Tony seems very different than like the true Ultimate Tony.
Yeah.
They both seem like very lighthearted and jokey.
You're right. They definitely do. And this is done by Bendis. He brought back Mark Bagley as penciler because I mean they did like 100-something issues of Ultimate Spider-Man together, and if they were going to be, you know, as the variant issue shows, Bendis dropping the mic on the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah,
I think we're going to get to those parts where we're going to see these characters that I wanted to see before I read the issue. But you know, Ultimate End was definitely a little interesting. Out of all of them, it was probably my least favorite, but I still look forward to seeing what's coming next.
yeah. I thought I was going to enjoy it much more than I did.
Here's one that I really, really enjoyed, and that's Planet Hulk.
Yes.
Again, we're just dropped into a world that's already existing, but it's easy to pick up. And Planet Hulk has nothing to do with the actual event that happened a couple of years ago. They just take the name, and the name is actually quite fitting. On Battleworld, there is a part called the Greenlands, which is just filled with Hulks. And Cap, the best way to explain this is Cap is looking for Bucky. And Cap is a prisoner in like this giant arena, like Gladiator, and it's run by Arcade. And
that was cool. I was not expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that either. So basically, what happens is he goes to try and take Arcade to find out where Bucky is. We don't know what's happened to Bucky, but his assassination attempt, I'm going to say, goes poorly.
Yeah.
And he's going to be executed over the shield by Doom, except Doom is now sending him on a mission into the Greenlands to go assassinate their leader Hulk. And if he's successful, he'll find out where Bucky is. That's the basic premise of the book. Devil Dinosaur is in here too.
Captain America riding Devil Dinosaur is great.
Yes. This book is just dumb fun. Like
it is. That's the perfect way to explain.
Yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure thing. Like you're reading it and you're like, none of this makes any sense. But I'm interested in it, and you know, I liked the Planet Hulk storyline, so I was going to pick this up regardless. But just the whole, you know, battle arena gladiator thing, then going into a land full of Hulks, but you know, you could think of them in the way as like dinosaurs, like, you know, like you're going into Jurassic Park and trying to go do something. And all these Hulks are going to be in his way. And I'm, you know, interested to see what happens with Bucky. So I thought Planet Hulk was really good.
I love that cover too.
Oh, the cover's awesome. You made me read Deadpool and the Secret Wars on.
When's the last time you read a Deadpool book?
Oh God, the first when they went all new Marvel or Marvel now.
That's right, the Dead Presidents.
The Dead Presidents. I read 2 issues of that.
Deadpool is, when done right, Deadpool is absolutely hilarious. And when done super right is when they drop him into like a pre-existing story that has happened already. Now, in his original run, like back in the 90s, they did an issue where it was Deadpool put into like an early issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And it was like nerdy Peter Parker, you know, Aunt May with the wheat cakes and stuff like that. Like that stuff is hilarious to me. And this past run, they did it with him going into the Demon in the Bottle storyline with Iron Man. You know, Iron Man being a drunk.
Okay, I remember that.
And he put Iron Man's armor on and stuff. So this kind of puts him into the original Marvel Secret Wars, or Secret Wars, yeah. And yeah, it just continues that dumb, stupid fun with him just making fun of like the story as it's happening.
I love how, I mean, Colin Bunn's the writer here. My problem with comics in the 80s and before then is the exposition that's done.
Okay.
It's like everyone's filled in a room and, you know, the art looks great. I mean, they try and get back to that original style. But it's just a lot of people like, I am Professor X and these are my X-Men: Storm, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Colossus.
It's great.
And
filler.
Lockheed the Dragon. And there's a great line by Deadpool here that says, impressive exposition there, milady. And they're all talking like the book was written in the 80s and Deadpool's talking like it's written now. And like stuff like this is good. Like this is the type of stuff that I need to read to get me into Deadpool. Like I didn't pick this up, but I'll pick up the rest of these now.
Cool. Good.
And it was fun. And I like how the beginning comes off. Like I actually never read the original Secret Wars.
Okay.
but I don't remember anything like this happening on the, in the story where like looks like everybody's dead. Cap's shield is broken, Thor's hammer is on the ground, and Deadpool rises up and says, "Important safety tip: do not pee in the Cheerios of godlike entities." So yeah, that looks like fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to continue.
So that's all the Secret War stuff we have. We're going to probably be going over a couple of the books. Like when there's a new one released each week, we'll probably go over the issue ones, and then we'll talk about the ones that we like after that, if they continue to be good. But there's so many of them coming, we figured we'd just pull out a few every week and talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that with these Secret War books, that's all there is, really.
Yeah, there's no really other Marvel books.
Just like with DC, with Convergence, it was either Convergence or those one-shots, or two-shots, sorry. And unfortunately, I didn't like a lot of those. So
the thing with that and the Convergence issues, we have the next issue of Convergence we could talk about in just a minute or so. But with the Convergence tie-in issues, I had a hard time with them because it didn't feel like we were dropped into like the couple that I read, like we weren't dropped into a pre-existing world. Like it was kind of like we were dropped into a world where there was these characters that were mashing together because of this battle. And like, that's what I'm noticing the difference between that and Secret Wars. Like with like, let's say Planet Hulk, like it has nothing to do with the event. Like we're just finding this world where, okay, Steve Rogers is a gladiator and he's being sent on a mission. And with A-Force, it's like they're a team of heroes defending their city. But like it's not like being pulled into the greater event, at least so far that we know of. But like the first issues were like, I know nothing about this, but everybody knows nothing about this. And with the the Convergence issues, like let's take the Superman one, for instance, is like they were pulling in characters from other alternate universes that I wasn't familiar with. And it was like they're fighting each other, and like it didn't grab me in a way that these did. And perhaps it's just my ignorance with DC and not knowing enough of the characters.
No, because I love DC, absolutely love DC. And I'd say out of all those books, like the Flash, the JSA book, parts of the Legion, and Speed Force, those four to me were super, super well done. Everything else just felt like subpar. So, and yeah. I don't hate DC. It's
no,
weird.
I mean, hey, I said this all along with the DC stuff, is that I want it to be good. I want to be able to pick up more DC books and like easily understand them and like, have a gateway into the DC universe. We've mentioned it before, super excited about the stuff that's coming after Convergence.
Oh, very much so.
I'm like really looking forward to reading that Superman book. And like, I barely read any Superman.
By the way, I read a whole bunch of it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Leaked?
No. We get like extended previews sent to us.
Ooh.
Like 7-8 pages.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
since we're talking about Convergence, let's just talk about Convergence. This is number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we had 6, and I was jazzed by it. I was like excited. I felt like the event had found its footing for me. For people who are reading Earth 2, they must have been delighted by everything that was going on there, because it was focused a lot on that. But this brought in the greater DC multiverse, and we saw familiar versions of characters, and this is the big battle issue. What'd you think of this?
In terms, like, every event has it. Every event has that one book where it's like, okay, this is it, the be all end all, everyone fight for what we have. I liked it a lot. It just felt, let's see, it felt like, again, which I said about this series, it felt like it should have been together with the last issue.
You think this is going to read much better as a collected trade?
Oh, of course.
I agree. I do think that because we talked last week, the first couple of issues feeling like they should be one issue. I think this and the the previous issue should have been tied in together. Obviously, got to cut it off somewhere, and if they're going to cut it off, that was the spot last week. But I do think this will read better when it's all collected.
Yeah. Weeklies are hard, I guess, in terms of writing like that, because you can't have that one huge moment every week. Otherwise, it just would feel cheap.
Yeah. I like the character that stood out to me the most in here was Hal Jordan, the Parallax version of Hal Jordan. He's a badass. He just walks up right to Demios, just grabs his arm as he's doing here, and just stops him from doing whatever he's doing. He's like, "I'm Hal Jordan. You're giving me a headache, and I'm gonna just stop this." And eventually, he does. He absolutely just flat out blows him up at the end of the issue, and that's leaving the big revelation at the end of this is that guy had absorbed the power of time travelers. He had, as he says here, he has absolute control over the history of past, present, future. He hadn't just realized it yet, and now that he's dead, time and reality is like splintering, which is DC just loves to splinter realities.
Yeah, and this is their way to say basically, okay, creators, writers, artists, have at it. This is our whole history. If you have a story you want to write, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and that's the new DC mantra is that it'll be story over continuity. Excuse me.
Okay.
And that's exciting, is that you could just get great stories and not have to worry about like, well, what happened like a year ago? What's going to happen a year from now? It's just like, here's a great story, and writers take it away. And that's why we're seeing like crazy stuff like Jim Gordon be Batman and Superman not have his full powers, identity exposed. Green Lantern on the run.
Yeah.
So that's exciting stuff. And we got one issue left, and we'll see what happens after that.
Sweet.
Uncanny X-Men, we talked about it. This is the last issue for a couple of months. And like the last of the Marvel books are ending, I don't know if we have what next week's Alicia show, if there's any actually left until, Secret Wars wraps. But like a couple books are like, coming to an end now. And this is one of them. This picks up like a thread that's been running for a couple of months now, is that, Dazzler was the mutant liaison for S.H.I.E.L.D. She was taken by Mystique, and Mystique replaced her pretending to be Dazzler, and Dazzler eventually, comes to and wakes up and is mighty pissed, becomes very emo and kind of goth in a way, cuts her hair, does her makeup all weird, and she wants revenge. And so one half of this issue is her talking with Maria Hill on one of the helicarriers.
I love Maria Hill.
Maria Hill is a great character. And the other half is Scott Summers talking to Mystique, and Mystique not being completely sure that everything's on the up and up with Scott. I love Mystique here. She's such a great villain because, she walks into her room here, and Scott goes, "Hello, Raven." Scott Summers, "How did you find me? Your breadcrumbs." And she says, "I'm going to have to work on that." And he asks, "You're a Bollywood star now?" "Only for a week or two, just taking a vacation from myself."
Yeah.
So she just becomes people just to be like, I want to be somebody else and take a vacation from my life. And there's good interplay between Scott and Mystique, about the way that they both reacted after the deaths that have hit the X-Men in the last couple of years. Everything from Jean to Professor X to Logan, and where they were and where they are now, and how the mighty, quote unquote, have fallen. This was really good. I mean, I'm gonna be sad when Bendis comes off the X books, because it's just like it's the same thing that Bendis is really good at, is taking years worth of story and like kind of like just like chipping back to it, like that. This Mystique thing that's been going on with Dazzler has been going on for a long time. I'll say at least a year. Well, like since she was taken.
She was taken almost right at the beginning of this run.
Really?
Yeah, because she was under, she was being drugged and then being used to make drugs.
And that's why she's so angry, is because she was being used to make MGH.
Exactly.
Oh man, I'm annoyed that we're gonna have to wait all the way until September or whatever to find out where this goes, because this ends in an interesting spot. Like, Scott was training his own version of the X-Men, and due to circumstances, he's no longer doing that, and they've been left at the Jean Grey school, and they're kind of like, what if we don't want to do this? Like, what if we don't want to be X-Men? What could we be? And I'm excited to see where that goes. Like, I wonder if they're the extraordinary X-Men.
Very well could be.
Yeah. So we'll see. But Uncanny X-Men continues to be excellent. and we'll have to wait to see where that goes.
Yes.
I want to know what you think about this book because you handed it to me.
Mhm.
This is non-player number 1. This is actually the 3rd printing of this book.
Ugh. Okay.
And you said you had a bone to pick.
Well, I do. I mean, this book came out 3 years ago.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And came out 3 years ago. Kept on being promised for an issue number 2. Never came. And Nate Simpson he does everything. He does art, story. And like he kept on putting updates out like, oh, hey, I've gotten into an accident. I'm just taking some time off, and it just kept going and going and going. And finally, it just disappeared, absolutely disappeared. And like 4 or 5 months ago, it was announced, hey, we're coming out with the 2nd issue. And before then, we'll reprint the 1st issue so people will know what the hell this is again. I loved it. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
I didn't know any of that. And now I'm scared that I'm not going to get a 2nd issue of this because
no, it's coming.
I really liked this.
I think they made him like at least put an arc together before they would even release.
That would make sense. Where else with comics can that happen? I mean, like there was a Spider-Man Black Cat thing that was going on.
The Kevin Smith one?
The Kevin Smith one where it was delayed for like 5 years between issues. And it wasn't like issue 1 to issue 2. It was like issue 3 to issue 4. It took like 5 years to come out. Only in comic books. But you handed this to me this week, and not knowing anything about it, just knowing it was an image number 1. I read it maybe about an hour before you came. And at first I'm like, okay, medieval setting, medieval fantasy setting. And then you find out it really is fantasy. What would be your best synopsis for this book?
It's people living in an MMO world.
Good enough. I mean, that works.
So, I mean, if you're into like World of Warcraft or any of those kind of games, this is just such a great title.
Yeah, what I really liked about it was like I had no idea. It was fun to come into this with just no idea what I was getting into, and then you're like, all right, cool. They're gonna take out this cat. Like these rebels are gonna take out this king and princess or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're talking about Korea, and I was like, wait, what? And then they're talking about like money and like abilities, like cooldowns and things like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're in a game. And then you see like they're in some sort of future version of the world where you could put these little chips on your head and like you pay money and you can really enter into a fantasy world. And they get into the fantasy world. They go to, do this mission. They talk about like, we're probably going to die. Like it's going to happen, but let's just see what happens here. Pretty much what you would do in a game is like, we're probably not going to survive this, but let's see what it's like. And, I like at the end, they don't survive. Strange things happen with the characters in the game. And then in the end, she's on her way to work. But because of this chip, she can change the way that the world looks on her way to work. And she chooses this fantasy setting. Instead of looking at skyscrapers, she's looking at mountains. And that's where the issue leaves off with her, traversing to work. And that immediately pulled me in. Like I'm sad that, I would have been really bummed if I read this years ago and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, well. Thankfully. We'll skip this one. We'll go right to Bloodshot.
Okay. So very quickly, we'll talk about Bloodshot Reborn. We had mentioned the first issue that we really liked a couple of weeks ago, and Jeff Lemire continues excellence right here. Ninjak's been really good. I mean, Ninjak was excellent this week, and so was Bloodshot. And I think that these books are surpassing the original books, like Archer Armstrong, which is actually coming back, and Exo Man of War, which I really love. But I mean, like, they're doing the thing where like it's not these guys aren't in the connected universe right now. Ninjak's not, and then with Bloodshot, he's got the nanites out of him. He's definitely going crazy because he sees a Jeff Lemire drawn blood squirt. And then Kay the Geomancer, who didn't make it out of the Valiant storyline. They're like just two things in his mind at all times. And he realizes that he's going insane, but he'll talk to them. And he's hunting down other killers who are using the nanites and pretending to be him, like they're being their own Bloodshots.
Yeah,
and they're
pissed.
Yeah, and he's pissed about it. And so, he's hunting down these people who are committing, homicidal acts. And it's good. It's beautifully drawn. I like when Jeff Lemire uses blood squirt. You could tell that he drew it, and it's such a stark contrast to like the rest of the issue when you see like this like little cartoon character out of there. But when you see drawn against, not going to say real art at all, but like, a more realistic looking art, it's a nice contrast. So Bloodshot continues to be good.
Yay.
Last book we're going to talk about, just really quickly, is Powers number 3. 3? 3. Yep, Powers number 3. I love Powers to death. I have all the trades on my shelf. It's one of my favorite series, but this is a series that really needs to move to graphic novel format.
You think so?
Yeah, because
it's so late.
It's so late all the time. Yeah, it gets relaunched a couple, all the time. They relaunched it now, issue 1 a couple months ago because of the TV series. And I was talking with you before, and I said that it's never going to be more popular than it is right now. And you were like, it's really not that popular because not anybody is watching the TV show that we know of. But that TV show does exist. It got renewed for season 2. It's on the PlayStation Network.
Yeah, so people have to be watching.
People are watching it, and for a title like Powers, this may be the biggest thing that it's not going to get any bigger than this. Like, it did not make it to network TV. A couple of pilots were filmed that never aired, and like the delays on this book are just the worst because they have such great characters. I mean, Dina Pilgrim and Christian Walker are like 2 of my favorite characters in comic books ever. But like this series is just so hurt by delays. Like Bendis should just be writing, graphic novel, like just put them out in graphic novel form and release them like once a year or twice a year, because like it's impossible for me to follow this when I'm getting like 1 issue every 3 months. And it's like, all right, now I got to go dig back the old issues just to remember where exactly we are. And they're great stories.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's hurt by delays too much.
Blah.
Yeah. But if you haven't read any Powers, I recommend pretty much everything that's currently on comic book shelves.
Definitely, especially the first arc, the Who Killed Retro Girl.
Yeah, and all the stuff that came after that. I mean, I'll say the first like 3 or 4 oversized hardcovers are fantastic. And if you read it, you'll never read anything really like it. It'll be like unlike anything you've ever read. It's a great idea for a TV show, and eventually I'm going to watch that.
Yay.
And that's going to do it for our us this week, guys. Before we get out of here, a little bit of housekeeping. You can follow us at Backup Stories. We've been getting some nice interaction lately. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
My personal Twitter is at Joroak, Joroak.
And I am at Dusk1020.
We're on the Talking Games podcast, which is at Talking_Games. I wasn't on the show this week as I wait for the birth of my son eventually, who's a little bit late right now and could happen any minute. But Rob, Jackie, and Bobby actually sat in this week, talked about The Witcher 3.
Yes. Great
which is
game.
supposedly excellent. The next couple of weeks are going to be a little bit difficult for us guys, due, like I said, to the impending birth of my son. We may miss a week or 2, but we're going to be working on getting a new schedule going as soon as that happens. And we'll be on Twitter. We'll let you guys know everything that's going on, but we're not going anywhere.
No.
So until we meet again, goodbye.